So in Kenya, the worst learning outcomes are for girls in rural villages. The highest are for boys in the cities. If the current status quo remains, and we have minute incremental changes in our education system, it's estimated that it'll be 80 years before that rural girl has the same opportunity as that urban boy. I find that unacceptable. Most parents find that unacceptable. So what have they done? Even parents earning as little as $1.25 per day have walked with their feet and taken their children with them. And with the help of social entrepreneurs, religious leaders, community leaders, have started thousands of schools across Kenya. There are more than 10,000 non-formal private community schools in Kenya serving children today, almost 2 million children. There are more than 20,000 in Lagos State alone. There are more than 300,000 such schools across India. If you've lived your entire life in Europe or the United States, it could be hard to fathom how a family living in poverty turns away from the public system to find opportunity for their children. But if you grow up in one of these countries, if you're a parent faced with the decision of having your child in a failing school or finding a solution, you are desperate to find a solution today. And that's what's happening as a massive movement across the developing world. Most people think that the global education crisis is one of classrooms, that we need to build more rooms. It's not. It's actually a crisis of what's happening inside those classrooms. Studies done by the World Bank, by UNESCO, by UNICEF have shown that across the majority of Africa, more than half of scheduled teaching time is lost because the teacher just isn't present, even in the room, or is asleep, is on their phone, is doing something else. In Uganda, 8 out of 10 teachers can't read or do math at a 6th grade level. These are the struggles that we're facing. These are the struggles that parents are facing. So 10 years ago, my husband and I started working with parents in Kenya, saying, why are your schools failing, and how can we help you change that? Over the past 10 years, we looked at, that problem actually isn't that complex, but it's about something somewhat simple, but still hard to do. Work hard, deploy best practices in every single classroom, hold every single person accountable, from the teacher to the principal to the supervisor and all the way up, and make sure teachers are supported and given feedback. We all need feedback. So we deploy big data systems across thousands of classrooms. We create lesson plans that have interactive practice and factually correct lessons for our teachers. And we ensure every teacher has a full lesson observed and given feedback to them every single week. Now, we could have worked in one school, but we didn't. We chose to try to work across thousands, because while working in one school can be amazing for those children themselves, it doesn't solve the global education crisis, and what's more, it doesn't give a true pathway to change for our government. To be able to affect policy, to be able to give an example to government about what could really change, you have to be able to work at or below the government's current budget and show that your solution also does work at scale. So now we've worked with 250,000 children across 5 countries. And just over the past 2 years, we're starting to hear something very interesting. Brave leaders across Africa and Asia coming to us and saying, if you could do that in private community schools, could you do that in the public system? Yes. So now, by having worked on something that we always designed to be working at scale, we're hoping that we can be a better partner for governments and showing that we can truly have truly free, truly great public schools. Because that is the greatest social injustice of our time. Our governments are supposed to provide equal opportunity for all. We are a group that believes that every child should have access to a free, publicly funded education. The question is, how do you get there? We've now developed systems that are helping governments get there. In Liberia, we were asked by President Sirleaf to work with her and to turn around 25 failing public schools. After just 4 months, we've enabled 20% of children to now be reading fluently, whereas in the other schools, it's only 3%. We're looking forward to continuing to expand that program with her. So my question to each of you, leadership in education is hard. It's complex. not every government leader is ready to take it on and to think through what needs to happen to create powerful public schools. So I want to ask each of you to help me think that through. Where in the world today do we have the political leadership that's ready to take on these challenges and to really want to push strong education reform through the public sector? Thank you.